Gatling with the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. Appreciate you tuning in today. We're going to talk commercial real estate with broker David Erstine of commercial real estate firm CBRE in Fayetteville. Dave, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Staying busy?
Yes.
It's a busy market, I know.
It is a busy market. It's a fun market to be in right now.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about a new report that you guys put out examining the always changing office market in Northwest Arkansas, Class A commercial space. What is driving some of those changes? Tell us a little bit about the report and what the numbers tell you.
Well, it is a good time to be a landlord in the Class A environment because vacancies are very low across the board. In Northwest Arkansas, we surveyed about 2.5 million square feet of Class A office space in about 40 buildings. Vacancy right now is below 10%, which is healthy. The lowest of the submarkets is Fayetteville, which comes in just shy of 5% vacancy. The highest is Bentonville, which is about a 17% vacancy rate, which is unhealthy. But if you remove a couple of buildings from the survey that have had some challenges with occupancy over the years, it drops vacancy in Bentonville to 8%. So overall, we're pretty full within those buildings. Which is starting to drive some new construction.
Right. What is, if you could put it on one thing, what is unique about this market in Northwest Arkansas that really gets developers' attention?
It'd have to be the high concentration of satellite companies we have from a Fortune 500 perspective.
Right. And those offices that are growing and adding people.
Yes, the offices are growing and adding people. I counted up the Fortune 100 companies that I knew had satellite offices here. The 100, it's about 25%. You get about over 40% of the Fortune 250 that have offices. So that's the main driver, especially in Benton County, of office occupancy. But we're seeing a lot of growth. It's been slow and steady in the Fayetteville submarket, but North Fayetteville's has absorbed a lot of space in the past years. So we're starting to see plans and construction of new office product in North Fayetteville for the first time in a decade.
Right, and one of those big projects is the Highlands Oncology project that is also going to have, I mean, it's not just the provider, they're also going to have some space they're going to be subleasing themselves, about 40,000 feet, I think.
Yes, and that will be kind of that corridor of Don Tyson and Johnson along I-49. We kind of consider that to be in the North Fayetteville submarket at this point. So that should relieve some of the pressure from some of the office occupiers needing space right now. But if you're an office occupier in the North Fayetteville submarket and you're needing over 5,000 feet, it's a challenge because there's not much out there. But that's driving some repurposing of old retail space. Hearing that the Sears building in its transformation there at the mall will likely have a decent amount of office space as a component of that redevelopment.
Right. Okay. All right. And in Benton County, you've got two distinct markets: the Rogers, Pinnacle Hills market, and then of course the overall Bentonville market. What are you starting to see there as we're seeing a lot of interstate construction that's really going to change the way how people get around in Bentonville, Walnut Street, Walton Boulevard, and Rogers, overpasses in Rogers? What are you starting to see there that's really kind of driving what companies are looking for in terms of office space?
Yes, so with Bentonville right now, with Bentonville's largest employer working on its new campus and making room for that, we're seeing a lot of disruption in the office market from where employees are needing to be relocated to. And then also we're experiencing a lot of occupiers that are in the Bentonville submarket right now with just overall concern of congestion of Bentonville. So we're seeing a lot of occupiers wanting to move closer to I-49 or maybe move down to the West Rogers submarket there around the Pinnacle area. And that's usually for people that have teams, companies that have teams of, say, 10 to 20 or above. But we're seeing that there's some construction in Bentonville right now. There's a couple of office buildings. They're off of Highway 72 and I-49.
The Rice office complex.
Yes. They've got two buildings under construction. One's a 72,000 square foot building and one's a 40,000 square foot building. Those buildings should be completed by fourth quarter of this year. And by our understanding, at least one of the two buildings will be fully occupied shortly after construction's completed.
Right. The office market is always changing, and the traffic patterns are always changing,
Yes.
and are going to really continue to change the next couple of years with what's being built.
Yes, and that's got, so if you're an office occupier in Bentonville and you're looking to renew or where to position, that comes up in conversation a lot, is with the road work there at 8th Street and the interchange, and how that's going to shuffle traffic patterns and development for the next 5, 10, 15 years in Bentonville. But, you know, and we're hearing rumors of a project in downtown Bentonville that will be of size. From an office perspective, typically most of the office spaces in the downtown Bentonville area have traditionally been, call it 2,000 to 5,000 feet, and this building will have some mass to it, and could be a partnership with a large collaborative workspace provider that may be entering the market.
Right.
So
Commercial realtors and developers always good for rumors and of
Yes.
what's to come. A great source.
Yes.
Talk about the existing inventory. Are companies finding what they need with what's already out there right now?
it depends. If you are what can
And
be
for an affordable rate too.
well, that's no.
No.
No. That a lot of times no, but it obviously depends. If you are needing space in the Bentonville Rogers market and you're, you know, 1,000 to 3,000 square feet, you know, you can find pretty affordable space and have several options. But if you're in those markets and you're needing 10, 15, 20,000 square feet of space, it's pretty limited, especially around the Pinnacle area. There's a couple new projects that one's recently completed there at the District, a 44,000 square foot building that came online in February. It has you know, some availability to accommodate the 10 and 15,000 square foot users. And then you have the Northgate Plaza development that is a partnership with Mrs. Hunt and some of her folks there, that will be a 6-story project, about 120,000 square feet gross. That will be delivered by year end as well, or January of 20.
Yeah. It sounds like all of this development is ramping up and gathering momentum, as opposed to something that we're seeing it's pretty even. It sounds like it's going to get really busy really quick the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, developers are responding to the fact that, you know, if you're an occupier of size, you know, you can't find space, and so, you know, once developers hear that more than a couple of times, they go into reactionary mode and start developing space. So along the corridor, we've got about 300,000 square feet of office space that will be coming online within the next 12 to 18 months.
Right, and give me kind of maybe your forecast for the remainder of this year, and then looking ahead to early 2020. I mean, what are the trends that you see? I know you think 2020 is going to be a big year in terms of delivered inventory into the market.
Yes, so through you know, we're in the first quarter now of 2019. Through the end of the year, it will remain tight. So if you're an occupier needing space, you're going to see some challenges if you're of size. But in 2020, we'll start seeing some deliveries. That'll free up some space, some Class B or some older A product, and so we'll see some ability to play musical chairs at that point in 2020, and availabilities will soften. Now, you'd mentioned pricing. You know, because of construction cost, we are seeing pricing increase quite a bit. So where top of the market for A used to be $22 to $24, and then it became $25 to $26 a foot, we see that going to $28 to possibly $30 a square foot in this next round of development. So, you know, your question about affordability depends on who asks. And I don't see that it's the developers making a huge return at those rates. It's just the rents that they need to justify the project.
Right, and then at what point does that market, when you get to maybe that 30 number, what does that say about the Northwest Arkansas market around the country to other developers? Is it good or bad, or that's just the price of doing business here?
You know, I don't know if it will attract other developers or not, but it will definitely show up in conversations, especially with a lot of the companies who have their corporate decision-making function elsewhere, that when they start seeing $30 a foot numbers, then that puts us on levels with a lot of the kind of mid-tier, top-tier metropolitan areas. You know, they're used to seeing those numbers for large markets like a Houston or Chicago or any of those places. So it's a little unique because they kind of scratch their heads. Why is this in Arkansas at that pricing?
But yeah, you always get that uniqueness of Northwest Arkansas. And,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, good stuff. Well, congratulations on the report, and we appreciate the insight. Thanks very much for coming by.
Thank you.
All right, David Erstine with commercial real estate firm CBRE in Fayetteville. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm Paul Gatling. See you next time.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.